Well, just 2 years ago, Chrysler was on the brink, but after filing for bankruptcy and then being swooped up by Fiat, Chrysler, now a much more solid company. And as of today, the U.S. government no longer has any stake in the automaker. Sergio Marchionne, the CEO of the Chrysler Group, joins us now from the company's headquarters in Auburn, Michigan. Mr. Marchionne, thanks for taking the time.
Pleasure.
Let's talk first about what just happened. Fiat bought out the last of the government shares for $500 million. When all is said and done, U.S. Treasury says it looks like they'll take a loss of about $1.3 billion on the more than $12 billion bailout. I'm wondering, from your perspective, you came into this after the bailout. Was this a good deal for U.S. taxpayers?
I think it was a phenomenal deal for U.S. taxpayers. I mean, when you look at this from the potential disastrous consequences of a failure of Chrysler as an entity, just to pick up the pieces of what would have been left over, the impact on the supplier base, employment levels here in Michigan, and in other states in the U.S., it would have been a real mess.
You know, it's interesting. I just this morning reread an op-ed by Mitt Romney back in 2008 in the New York Times, and he said, look, don't bail out Detroit, don't bail out Chrysler and General Motors. So looking back, do you think that Chrysler could have stood on its own 2 feet and come back without this government money?
Whoever tells you that is smoking illegal material. That market had become absolutely dysfunctional. It had become absolutely dysfunctional in 2008, 2009. There were attempts made by a variety of people to find strategic alliances with other car makers on a global scale. Chrysler shopped a variety of other sources before it came to this conclusion. And the government stepped in as the actor of last resort. It had to do it because the consequences would have been just too large to deal with.
Finally, you've said that we're going to see a substantial change in the Chrysler lineup by 2012. Explain what that's going to look like.
We're starting our new life with the introduction of a C-segment sedan for Dodge. This has been a big hole in the product portfolio of Chrysler. It's been the reason why it is the main reason why we had such a heavy reliance on pickups and SUVs. That's just about ready to change starting January 2012, and you will see a number of cars being introduced between now and 2014 that will fundamentally change the configuration of the portfolio of Chrysler going forward.
Let's look at the future for Chrysler. You repaid the government's loans and went to the private market 6 years ahead of schedule. So I'm wondering what your plans are to hire back any former U.S. workers.
Look, we've been consistently hiring now for the last 23 months. And as we keep on expanding the portfolio and rejuvenating all the platforms and the engine development that has gone on here in the last 23 months, we expect that number to increase significantly.
Looking at your numbers, $160 million profit in Q1. The big question, are we going to see an IPO this year?
We are going to see an IPO whenever we think that we have the means to monetize the VIBA trust. This is really the objective of this exercise. Fiat obviously is not a seller of its interest in Chrysler. The objective here is to create one global automaker. How that happens has got a variety of alternatives. We need to work through them all and then make the best choice.